All right, so Saturn conjunction with Neptune in Aries on Friday the 13th. Is it Friday the 13th? I'm out in my backyard. I'm not in front of my computer for a reason. Saturn will go into 0 Aries. It will join up with Neptune exactly on, I think it's the 20th. So it's a week from this week that I'm recording this. This is such a huge entry point into a whole new reality. I want to say that I've been taking notes and reflecting on this for the past year, and I took like 3 hours the other day to write down all my notes and distill them, and it still was several pages. And then I'm like, okay, I just have to let spirit speak through me. All right, so this is like trusting that part of myself that's just knowing that everything I'm going to say is going to be exactly what we all need to hear, myself included. I have a huge amount of angelic guides and ancestors around me as I'm speaking this, and anyway, my eyes tear up when I feel them. So if you see teary eyes, you'll know this is what's going on. Anyway, all right, so there's so much to be said about it, and I've just thought today I'll just give you this little tidbit. You know, I can talk about it in other videos, but what keeps resounding over and over for many months now is these saints. Obviously, this is a very divine entry point. This is a portal that we're moving through. Saturn makes things real, and Neptune is the mystical, nonlinear dimensions of reality, and it's a very interesting pairing when they match up. And when throughout history, there have been times, of course, every 36 years, about 36 years, Neptune and Saturn hook up. So what today I'm going to just talk about is these particular saints, this one saint that really wants to come through and have me share about her, and I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to talk about Osho, the mystic Osho. There is a very interesting timeline that occurred in his life, and it's getting resonance now. So I'm going to explain what that is and like how we can use that to see our way clearly through this very intense time with the highest frequencies of light. So hello, if you don't know me, if you've never met me, I'm so glad you're here. I guess it's supposed to be, right? Just like this, here's life happening, right? My name's Irlianna Samsara. StarSound speaks. My practice is called StarSound Astrology, and this is, I practice a blend of traditional Hellenistic astrology and modern together. And if you are interested in a session, you can just click on, I'll put a link below. But anyway, and thank you so much if you like this information and you like to hear about astrology where it's blended with a very dedicated spiritual practice. Well, hello. You and I are besties. So anyway, all right, so back to Saturn and Neptune. So first I'm going to talk about the saint. Her name is Lidwina, or Lidwina. Excuse me, am I getting that name wrong? Whatever. Oh my God, you're huge. Lidwina. Hello, Lidwina. Everyone say hi. She's right here. This is Neptune. The divine is coming through into physical dimensions in many, many ways. Anyway, she was a breatharian saint. Many saints have these siddhis, or developed them. Siddhis is a Sanskrit name, and it refers to these we could say other natural or supranatural powers that come through. And breatharian is one such, and that is where you just live on prana. And she was a saint in the Netherlands in the Middle Ages. And so this time, and Saturn and Neptune going back several cycles, Saturn and Neptune were in Aries in I don't remember it was later degrees, but it was Saturn conjunct Neptune when she was born. She was born on April 18th, 1380, and she had a difficult life. She got hurt as a teenager figure skating, and she spent the rest of her life like in severe pain and debilitation and such. But that suffering brought her into these higher states of reality, and she ended up like not, you know, she only consumed the Eucharist, which if you didn't grow up Catholic, it's the little host at Mass. It's like a little thin wafer. It's basically, there's no calorie or anything to that. So many saints, like Saint Therese Newman, who Yogananda talked about in his biography, she also subsisted on that, and she was also breatharian, and he visited her in the 1930s in Germany. So anyway, but back to Lidwina. So the idea being that there can be grief and intense suffering, but at the very same time there is this divine assistance. And I know a lot of us have been suffering. We're very concerned about what is happening in the world, the chaos and the destruction and the war and the genocide and everything that's been going on. The understanding about the powers that be and this dark sides, you know, the Department of Justice files, obviously revealing this whole parts of things that we didn't know, and it's completely shaking up our reality. And so I just wanted to bring this to your attention about, it's so easy to get caught up in despair, and so that's what I felt so strongly about, is to just share with you that there are these mystical dimensions and that will help us if we lean into them. There are so many ancestors and guides around us at this time. The time when we feel we're at it's like the long dark night of the soul has been going on. You know, we had that grand water trine in the fall into December, and that was our baptism by initiation by water. Now it's fire. Now we're playing with fire. And I just want to say I don't know a whole lot about the life of Lidwina. It's not like, I don't know if there's any books, but I just didn't find anything. But I think the idea, just she wanted her presence known, is that there are worlds that we may not understand linearly that are operating. And some of them are very dark, like we have seen in the news, you know, with the files. For great, huge example, that completely upend our reality of what we think reality is. But at the same time, there's also real goodness. And there is this, because remember, Neptune will bring, there's all kinds of neighborhoods out there in the invisible realms, right? There's, like, you go into a new town and there's the rich end of town and then there's the dodgy end, right? So we've been seeing the dodgy end in the news a lot. And yet I want to say that there is, at the same time, this other dimension, and I'm not glossing over this. This is, please, you know, this is not spiritual bypass. We have to understand that darkness in order to transform. We have to be aware of these things. We're not going to be sugarcoating here. At the same time, we understand that we can fully, you know, our hearts, keeping our hearts open at this time, keeping our heart open and being that vessel for light to come through, for light and transformation to move through. Why is that? Well, Saturn, I think that's what, did you want me to say that, Lidwina? Just hold on a minute. Okay, she said, yes, that's fine, keep going. Okay, thank you. Yay! Meanwhile, I am like, I don't know, I love to eat. I don't know, I'd like to be breatharian, but oh my God, you know, chocolate, like, let's not even, okay, back to this, right? No, my hat is off to that level. We all aspire to that holy level. And this is not about, oh, I want to go be a breatharian. What we want to do is raise ourselves with our practices and our devotions and our love to that state where light moves through us, truth and light. Truth is the highest plane of existence, as they say in the Vedas. Light coming through us, we being this, especially with this eclipse season, you know, the conjunction at 00 is present for the eclipse, the 28 Aquarius eclipse. Right on the USA moon. Wow. So this is a real wake-up call. This is a time for a new chapter to emerge, not only about us in where we direct ourselves into caring about others, expressing ourselves, but also giving of ourselves to a larger, to the collective. And why is that? Because Saturn and Neptune together, when they make that exact conjunction, the ruler, Mars, right, Aries, will be at 19 degrees of Aquarius, and that is the decan of the moon. So what does this mean? It's time to take care of ourselves, look out for others, and I'd say too, on a practical note, tending to this wound which being separate from each other has caused, and tending to that. I would say also, on a very mundane practical note, technology, where we have been addicted to our screens. Children, for sure, this is going to be a big deal. We're going to see Toy Stories. This is Toy Story 5. This is the premise. Children addicted to screens. You know, Woody and Buzz Lightyear, they didn't have this existential threat in the previous 4, right? They had existential threats of other things, but not technology. So here we are. I'm sure that's going to be a wildly encoded movie. I can't wait to see it. It's coming out in June when Uranus goes into Gemini. Woot! Anyway, back to this. So this tending to the wound of technology, of too much technology, the addiction of it, and how we can use that wisely in a way that supports us and can comfort us and connect us, but we also have to look at the other side, where it can, are we going to give ourselves over to that? Because these mystical dimensions of light are not going to be had through artificial intelligence. AI is wonderful, it can do all these wonderful things. There is nothing like our soul. That can never, our innate ancestral intelligence, that can never be replicated by a machine. It just can't. And I know in my soul, I've had a real hard time with this, because many people are like, oh, well, it's just here, you just have to get over it. And it's like, no, like I don't want to I don't want to do that. I don't want to get over it. But this is about finding a place that it's a safe. Where can that be safe? Where is that safe place? And being in our sovereignty, knowing and dealing with our boundaries. Comfort, security, healing. I think also with the moon representing ancestral dimensions, ancestry, our lineage, and in Mars at 19 Aquarius is like, remember your star lineage. Remember that you are not from this earth. You're from we have other dimensions of light that we are a part of, that we are not cut off. You know, like the age of reason in the 18th century, the age of Hume and Locke and Immanuel Kant, you know, all these people I had to study in philosophy in college. Like, oh, the age of reason, it was like this fantastic thing. And it's like, no, I call it the age of treason. Because what did it do? Everything was leaning into this mechanistic view of life, that we're just machines and we're cut off. We are not connected to the stars, which just everything was material oriented and just this earth. And we see the price we've paid. And now we're coming back. Now we're coming back to a different, you know, our original reality. And so this is what this Saturn-Neptune is inviting us to move into these kinds of dimensions and understandings. So yeah, so thank you, Lidwina. And St. Catherine of Siena, at that same year, only a few weeks apart, Lidwina was born in that, so she was an embodiment of that Saturn, Neptune, and Aries. And St. Catherine of Siena, who is considered a doctor of the church, she was also breatharian. She passed away a few weeks later, so in that window of that Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. So I just thought that was really special, and it just kept with me for months to like talk about this, you have to talk about this. So, okay. The last thing I wanted to say was, well, I don't know, maybe I'll say that for another one. Maybe I'll just leave that here, yeah, because there's something else I'm going to talk about with Osho. Yeah, Osho's legacy, and if you haven't looked at him, I'll leave a link below for his there's an official channel, an amazing master and a teacher. And now everything that he stood for and embodied is really coming alive, and a whole new chapter is starting. and it has to do with Saturn-Neptune. Because when he got enlightened, it was in a moment of the long dark night of the soul. It was in March of 1953, Saturn-Neptune conjunct in Libra. He went into this incredible enlightenment experience, and there was a YouTube video, and I'll dig it up and I'll put it down below. Incredible story about that. It would make a great Hollywood movie. Anyway, that's the point at which he got his enlightenment. Then 36 years later, he passed in the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Capricorn, with Uranus there. So it's like he brought this on the planet, then he established it, in Pune, India, in his ashram. He established these things. He released his body, and now it was up to all of us to carry that on and embody it in ourselves, which is what he assisted in doing. And now this generation that is, especially the kids, you guys that were born in around 1989, when the Saturn-Neptune in October of 89, it happened a few times during 1989. The final one was October when the Berlin Wall fell, but also when Osho left the planet, and then it's like his legacy was established, and now we're coming up the other side. Now we're Saturn-Neptune in Aries, where we are taking all those, we are moving that foundation now, we are embodying it in our physical bodies, Aries, right? And we are bringing that out into the world. As I said in the last video, we got kicked out of the ashram. Neptune and Pisces, it was the ashram, ayahuasca, working on its shadow self. Now it's like, okay guys, Neptune went into Aries earlier this week. It's over. Now we have to go out in the world and physically embody this. Be the change you wish to see in the world, but now in a whole new dimension, in a whole new way. So I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Yeah, the mystic that now comes grief into action, in the divine embodied, avatara. Avatar is Sanskrit for the descent into flesh. It's a bridge from divinity into the material world. And so here we are. This is our moment. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this, let me know. Tell me how are you doing with this? What's up for you in your life? What do you see as possible? I'd love to hear from you guys, and I read all the little comments. So thank you so much for listening. And if you like this, please do thumbs up and subscribe and or share, whatever you feel. Thank you so very much, and I'll see you very soon. This is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSound Astrology. Namaste.